We've talked about the pitching needs of the Diamondbacks, but there are a handful of moves the D-backs can make in this offseason to solidify the other half of the team, shooting an already respectable offense into the stratosphere.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the D-backs Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every single day. I am your host, Danon Biggs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. You guys, we have some big speculation news that has dropped yesterday, and I wanted to bring that to you guys and talk about it a little bit, and also just see what you guys think about it as well. We are going to talk about some additional offensive moves that we can make. We've talked a lot about pitching moves and new pitchers that we need to sign, and we absolutely do need to do that, but I think that there is a lot of work that could be done on our offense as well that would make what is already a pretty good offense much, much better. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then finally, we're going to close the show today by talking about a handful of former D-backs who are currently in the playoffs, how they're doing, and then we'll close things out, and then we'll come back the next day and talk more about stuff. By the way, if you guys want to get a hold of us, give us any of your thoughts or ideas for episodes, you can leave those in the comment section of the YouTube videos. Go to YouTube at Locked On Diamondbacks. If you guys are just listening to this, you get to watch the videos instead of just listening to them, or the podcast rather, I guess. You can watch the podcast instead of just listening to it. So if you want to see my beautiful face, then that's where you go there. And then you can leave comments. Very easy to get a hold of us and let us know your thoughts. Anyway, you guys, recently we had a report, not a report. There was a article that came out, and I saw this on the Arizona Diamondbacks on SI, a website, and a post written by Alex D'Agostino. But he referred to a article written by Kerry Miller on the Bleacher Report, which basically talks about the dark horse MLB free agency suitors for top 25 all-stars that are going to be available. And there are a lot of all-stars that are going to be available. And he basically went through and found a handful of different teams that they think that these guys could potentially go to and would fill the roster nicely. And there was one in particular that he thought, hey, you know what? They might be a good fit for the Diamondbacks. So we're going to talk about that. And it's way down towards the bottom of the list. But we are looking at none other than Cody Bellinger. That's right. Cody Bellinger, former Dodger and current Yankee. He is going to most likely go for opt for free agency this year, especially if he gets any good offers. And here's what they had to say here's what Kerry's had to say on that. Said, calling Arizona a dark horse to sign one of the best outfielders on the market is maybe a bit much. They may be right. I think Kerry may have a point there. They could use one, and have also shown a drastically increased willingness to spend money over the past 2 years. If they're spending this kind of coin, though, it's way more likely to be on fixing up the pitching staff than on improving an already solid lineup. So he kind of goes, hey, this would be a good idea, and then kind of quickly goes, well, that being said, I don't know how likely it is. And I would probably agree there with Kerry. I think that if the Diamondbacks are going to spend a lot of money, which Bellinger would cost a lot of money. He's been putting up really good numbers this year. He has 5.0 WAR, 29 home runs, 272 average, 98 RBIs. I mean, he's having a great season, and looks like he's going to have plenty of good seasons to come. And so if we wanted him on the team, we'd have to pay a pretty penny for him. But we'd get a left-handed outfielder. We would get who also can play first base, which we do need a first baseman very bad. It would be very nice if we could have another very good power hitter in the outfield. Right now we have Corbin Carroll, but that's kind of it. Gurriel fits that as well, I think. I think he's a good power hitter, but we're not going to see much, if any, of him next year. So to bring in somebody like Bellinger would be a huge move. I think if Ken Kendrick and the rest of the ownership team were to go, you know what? We need another star on the team. We want to make some waves, and we want our offense to be like out of this world, and we'd have Marte and Carroll, Perdomo, and now we're adding to that Bellinger, and then we have Moreno, and then any other players that are going to have a breakout year. I mean, we'd have a solid lineup there. But if Bellinger is taking the place of equal or better pitchers that would fill the role, I think we definitely need that more than we need offense. Which I think is kind of the common consensus of everybody. That's also the result that Alex over at Arizona Diamondbacks on SI had, is that this would be very cool. It would be very fun. And I think he would fit in really well with the team, and having him out there in the outfield and or at first base would be very, very cool. But I also think that we don't need another all-star hitter. I think we have solid hitting. I mean, I don't think we do have very solid offense. We post some of the best numbers in the league as far as runs. It's just, as you guys know, our pitching is also one of the worst in the league. So if we were to get the whole pitching rotation and bullpen down, and we're like, sweet, we got everything we absolutely need, and then on top of that, they were like, hey, go spend $180 million on Cody Bellinger as well. Might as well go for it. Just add that to the list. Then great, I guess. I don't see that happening in any universe, but I suppose it could. He would probably need to be paid about as much as Corbin Burns is, $30 million a year, which is, he's by far the most we've ever paid for anybody. So that'd be a big number, a big chunk of change. But again, that would be pretty cool. So fun little speculation. Love to hear what you guys think. And if any of you guys think maybe, oh no, if we could get him, let's absolutely do it, or no, let's steer clear. But yeah, I'd probably be more in the let's steer clear camp, and let's put all of our emphasis on pitching for this upcoming season. Anyway, you guys, we're going to talk about, I just said we're talking about pitching. We need pitching, but I do think that there are still a handful of moves that we can make and should make in the offense side of the team. So we're going to talk about that right after this break, so don't go anywhere. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that bet wins. That's right. You pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, now this next segment is brought on by a comment from one of you guys. So once again, thank you so much for commenting and leaving your thoughts. We have a few episodes that I want to do here in a little bit, probably after the postseason is over, that have been inspired by your guys' comments. And so please continue to leave your thoughts, because that helps me get through this off season when it's kind of hard to think of things to say about the Diamondbacks for 30 minutes every single day. So thank you very much to this episode's inspiration, Devin Pattison, who left quite a few comments on yesterday's episode. And I decided to pick this one to go with because I think it has a good, he gives a really good, like, here is what I think we could do. And I agree with a lot of it. I disagree with a lot of it. So let's get into it. All right. So Devin says, my idea is to move forward. Either get Cattell to slide to first base, Lawler at second, and Blaze at third. Spend money on a frontline starter, which is scary because our track record, but we got to get a W soon. Re-sign McCann, trade Jake or Alec, or both for relief pitcher. Someone will break out in spring and we'll have at least one random minor league signing that will be having a good year to fill the gap. Put money into at least one solid relief pitcher arm and either a left fielder or let Tawa move around between first and outfield to find his groove. This is the first half. He's got more. Devin's got more for us. So, but let's start there. I don't really see Marte moving to first, if I'm being completely honest. I think he's pretty much going to be where he's at. Last time they moved him around, they put him into the outfield, and that didn't really work very well. I think he's a second baseman, and he'll die a second baseman. I also don't really see Lawler moving to second base. I think he's at third, and he's had some defensive struggles at the end of last year, but I think that he is a very competent third baseman. Third base is a hard position to play, and he's got the arm for it, and he's got the defensive chops for it. He's got the talent, at least, and I think he just needs to be at that level for a little bit longer. We saw the same thing with Blaze Alexander. He was struggling defensively last year, and this year ended up being one of our best players defensively. So I think that'll be Lawler. I think he'll be good at third base, and I think we'll need him at third base as well. And I think he and Blaze will probably platoon third base, whether it's a lefty or a righty pitching. And whenever Blaze isn't at third, he'll probably be in the outfield. That's probably, I think that works. Now that's a very front office has their algorithms and stuff, and I don't think Torey Lovello's making those decisions, but I do think that's a fairly good and smart way to go about it. Now, spend money on a frontline starter. That is scary because, yeah, you're right. Our track record is very bad. I don't need to go through all of them, and I won't, but we have Montgomery, we have Bumgarner, we have Rodriguez, who was injured as soon as he arrived and then underperformed. Hopefully, I've really got high hopes for Rodriguez going into next season because he did show a lot of his prime level of talent towards the end of the season. So I'm hopeful that he's going to be good again. And then Burns, who I also think will probably be good, but I don't think we're going to see him. We're definitely not going to see him for the first half of 2026. And I don't know that we're really going to see prime Corbin Burns at all in 2026 because he's going to have to kind of get back into things and work on stuff. So there's a good chance that's not going to work out either. That being said, we do need to sign another starting pitcher. And we've talked about that. We talked about that yesterday, and we've also gone over some options for some good pitchers that we could sign. And I think that, yeah, we do need to sign at least one. The question is, are we going to sign an all-star, like ace level pitcher, or are we just going to sign somebody who can kind of fill in the 2, 3, 4 spot in the rotation? So anyway, re-sign McCann. Absolutely. I think the more I think about this and the more I hear about this, I'm like, McCann needs to be we need to sign him again. He was great for the team. And at the very least, maybe we get somebody else between now and the beginning of the season or sometime before the trade deadline. But for right now, I think he's fantastic. And we need to have him. Just just for the play calling and the ability to run the game. I think he's very, very talented at that. And we don't have really any good AAA options. We have a lot of, we have infielders, we have outfielders, we have some pitchers that are coming up through AAA that I think will be good options in 2026 and 2027. We really don't have any catchers though. So I think McCann will be a good one. Now, trade Jake McCarthy or Alec Thomas or both for relief pitcher. I really like McCarthy. I really like Thomas, but I think that might not be a bad move. Especially say, hey, we have two young, talented, developing lefty outfielders who have shown that they have skill, just maybe aren't quite the right fit here, or something's not quite working out. We'll send you these two guys, but I think we need more than one relief pitcher for them. I think we need a handful of relief pitchers, and maybe one very, very good relief pitcher. I don't know, but I could see that being a very mutually beneficial trade with some team. I haven't looked into who would maybe need it the most, but I'm sure there's some teams out there that could really use some good young outfielders and would be willing to part with some relief pitchers. I do think we'll have some breakouts in spring, and we'll have some minor league players that'll have a good breakout year. We'll talk about that more in your next section, Devin. But then we put money into at least one solid relief pitcher and either a left fielder or let Tim Tawa move between first and outfield to find his groove. I think as far as outfielders go, we're probably, I don't know that we really need to sign any big outfielders, unless, of course, Cody Bellinger wants to come over here for way cheap. But even still, I don't know that we need much as far as outfield goes, because I think Tim Tawa is very good. I think Blaze Alexander is very good in outfield. And if we trade both McCarthy and Thomas, then yeah, we'll probably need somebody, but we do have a handful of AAA guys that I think would make for good fill-ins. I don't know that we have Tristan English and AJ Vukovic, who are both very talented AAA players that we'll almost certainly see next year. I don't know that we'll see them as starters, like in the opening day roster, but I'm certain we'll see both of them at some point in 2026. So I guess if we were to trade McCarthy and Thomas, then yeah, we probably do need to sign an outfielder to kind of fill that in a little bit, because I think English and Vukovic still need a little bit of development. We saw English last year and he didn't perform super great, but again, I think he was getting more reps than anything. I don't think that's indicative of how he's going to be in his career, but anyway, and then Tim Tawa, I think absolutely needs to be a part of the squad. He needs to be a go-to player. Now, the next part you say, so this is still Devin Pattinson, by the way. So Devin, again, thank you for your comment. And if you guys have long spiels, Devin had a long spiel, and then he had 2 or 3 other comments that we're not even going to bring up today. So if you guys have your thoughts, please let me know, and we'll most likely make it to the show in some capacity. Do most of that, but leave Cattell at second, which is what I think is the right thing to do, and platoon Pavin and Tawa at first, which I think is also probably the way to go and what they'll probably do, plus Tawa in outfield. And then maybe get Lawler some outfield reps. He has the speed and an okay enough arm. Don't forget, Troy and Groover both had solid seasons. Groover, first base, still needs AAA reps, but Troy is a solid breakout candidate. So now Devin is talking about some of our prospects in AAA, and I did want to go over some of them as well, because that is something we need to know. So first of all, I think that, yeah, Pavin and Tawa will probably platoon first base. I would really like to see, I don't know that the Diamondbacks are going to do this, but I would really like to see them sign a first baseman, a veteran first baseman. He doesn't need to be super crazy good, but it would be nice to have somebody who could contribute some experience and a little bit of a bat. I think Paul Goldschmidt is a good option for somebody to bring in, he would likely be down for it, I imagine, if we give him a good enough offer. But I mean, other free agents, Suarez, Naylor, or no, sorry. Well, Suarez is, but he's not first base. I was saying Naylor and who did I say yesterday? Josh Bell, all former Diamondbacks, all going to be free agents, would all do pretty well in that role. It would be nice to get somebody who really could provide some offense. So like a Cody Bellinger would be really awesome. But again, I think if you're just looking for something that someone who we can sign for a fairly low cost, but provide some of that needed experience, I think Goldschmidt's the way to go, honestly. But there's a good chance that they won't, and they'll say, well, you know what? Pavin Smith's healthy again. Tim Towell is pretty good. Between the two of them, I think they would do fine, and they'd be all right. Lawler, again, I don't know that I would stick him in the outfield. I think he would probably do fine, but I think that he needs to be at third base. And I think he needs to get to the point where he's our starting third baseman and he's playing every game. I think that's what we would like to see from him. Now our potential players, our AAA players. So we have, you brought up Tommy Troy, who has only been in AAA since August 2nd, but he is very talented. So he only played 38 games in AAA, Tommy Troy, infielder, but in those 38 games, he did play just about as well, if not better, than he did in AA. So he will likely get reps in 2026, but I don't see him being a full-timer in 2026, barring extensive injuries and things like that. So Tommy Troy, I think 2027 is his year. I think that's the year he's going to come up, have a shot at making the opening day roster, and if everything goes well, yeah, he could be a very, very good call up, or a very, very good starting infielder. Now, who I think this year could make that spot is Andy Weber. He has a lot more time in AAA, has put up some really good numbers, and would make a very good backup second base or third or shortstop. I think that's what he would be this year. I think Marte and Perdomo have their roles pretty much locked up, but I could see if Marte wants to take on more of a designated hitter role at points, I could see Weber filling in that second base spot pretty nicely. But we also have, as I mentioned before, Tristan English and AJ Vukovic, who are outfielders who we'll almost certainly see this upcoming season. I don't know that either of them would make the opening day roster unless we traded Thomas and McCarthy and didn't sign some big or some experienced outfielders. I could maybe see that one of them getting that role, but I think that's going to be a bit. And then you also mentioned Groover, who I had to look up because I didn't really know much about him. Lou James Groover is a third baseman. He has a lot of exciting potential, but I don't think we're going to see him in 2026. He's still a AA guy. He's still got a long way to go. He's very young, but his numbers in AA are impressive. He's got a lot of power, and I think he could be a very, very good addition to the team. He'd be an amazing. I mean, between him and Lawler, they could be a stellar third baseman platoon. Or I could see Groover, if Lawler works out and is doing really well, I could see Groover moving to a different place in the outfield or in the infield or potentially outfield or vice versa. As I said, Tim Towell, he should absolutely have a starting position in 2026. And yeah, I think he's very good at first base and he's very good in the outfield. And I think he would do great as either one. That being said, as I mentioned, I do think I would like to see us sign at least a handful of one-year deals with some veteran players, particularly at first base. I think that we have a lot of the young players and we have the core team. We have Perdomo, Moreno, Carroll, Marte, and I think they're leading the team. But I do still think that we have a lot of young blood that needs some of that extra guidance. And so I think signing McCann would be great. I think signing Goldschmidt would be great. I think signing some veteran relief pitchers would be phenomenal. And I think that would set the Diamondbacks up for a very, very good 2026 before the return of all their injured players. And then when they do come back, assuming they are able to play to the same level of quality they were playing before, I mean, that would be a big late season push for the Diamondbacks. And I don't know. I would love to see this is a pretty for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in the last 2 years. It's a pretty big ask. I would love to see the Diamondbacks win the division for the first time in Torey Lovullo's tenure. But I think that needs to be the goal. And if Lovullo wants to keep his job as well, I think a division win would do that. I think that needs to be his number one goal. So maybe we'll talk about what that would take to dethrone the Dodgers and blow past the Padres. But I think that needs to be the goal for the Diamondbacks in 2026. Anyway, we're going to talk about finally some former Diamondbacks, including Paul Goldschmidt, who are currently in the playoffs, how they're doing, and also just kind of revisit the playoff picture and give you guys some updates and thoughts on that. But before we do that, we're going to take a little break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? You get confidence, pure confidence. And you're going to sneeze sometimes, but that's okay. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiet's Go Long come in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rougiet, RUGIET.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the recap of where we're at right now. I'm happy about some of these, not so happy about others, but let's take a look real quick. The Yankees finally won a game against the Blue Jays last night, so they are now 2-1. Blue Jays leading. That was a very close game. Blue Jays almost had it, but the Yankees were able to rally late in the game and take the win. They're going to be playing again tonight in New York. The Mariners won Game 3 against the Tigers, so they now lead the series 2-1, and they are going to be playing again tonight in Detroit. Then the Dodgers lead the Phillies 2-0. They play tonight in LA. The Brewers lead the Cubs 2-0 and play tonight in Chicago. Interestingly, every single one of these series could end tonight, assuming everything goes, I was going to say according to plan. Hopefully the Phillies hold on and are able to knock the Dodgers out, but hopefully everybody else, the series ends tonight. I'm happy with the Brewers winning. I like the Cubs fine, but I'm definitely rooting for the Brewers. And then the Blue Jays, I like the Blue Jays, and the Mariners, I like the Mariners. The Yankees, I'll be very happy to see them out. And the Tigers, I'm indifferent on. So the Phillies, I don't like much either, but I definitely like them a lot more than I like the Dodgers. So that's what we're hoping for. So Mariners, Blue Jays, Brewers, and Phillies win. Hopefully all but one of those series ends tonight. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at some of our players. So in Seattle, we have Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. Naylor is currently 0 for 13 and struggling in the playoffs. Suarez is only 1 for 11. However, he did hit a home run in yesterday's game, which made a huge impact on that game. The Yankees have Paul Goldschmidt, as we've mentioned. Paul Goldschmidt is 4 for 8 right now with 1 run. So he's basically mostly singles from Goldschmidt, but he is producing a lot of hits and has been doing very good. And then the other player on the Yankees that I wanted to bring up was Luke Weaver. I like Weaver, like probably personally. I don't know him personally, but I imagine he and I would get along swimmingly. We'd be good pals. However, he has pitched in 3 different games in this postseason, but has only been credited with 0.1 innings pitched, 1/3 of an inning pitched, which means he has only recorded 1 out in those 3 games. And he has given up 5 earned runs. In his first game, it was game 1 against Boston. He gave up 2 runs without recording an out. And then in game 1 against the Blue Jays, he gave up 3 runs without recording an out. Then finally in game 2 against the Blue Jays, he came in the top of the 9th and finished the inning by recording 1 out without giving up any runs or hits. So anyway, his ERA is extraordinarily high in this postseason, which is unfortunate. But I am rooting against the Yankees. So happy about Goldschmidt, though. And also happy that the Yankees are hopefully going to get eliminated tonight. So that'd be fun. Now, another one that's doing very well in the Blue Jays, we have Dalton Varsho, who's currently 7 for 12. He's doing very well. And with that is 2 home runs, 3 doubles, and 4 RBIs. Now, everybody on the Blue Jays is doing very well. They're having a great time. It's fun to watch them. And so go Blue Jays. I'd be more than happy if they won the World Series. So good job for Dalton Varsho there. And then on the Cubs, we have Carson Kelly, who is currently batting 4 for 16, respectable, with a home run. So very happy for him. Hopefully he plays very well in tonight's game, but I hope they lose. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. You guys are the best. Amazing. Love you guys. Be sure to follow us on X and Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Diamondbacks. We're on YouTube as well as every other place you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, Danon, you can find more of my YouTube channels and projects at my website, slackshack.tv. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.